Hey, Curtis here. Happy Mother's Day. Uh, I've been doing a lot of podcast interviews because people have been available, but so now that means I've already got recordings up through probably June. Already booked out, and I keep doing new ones. So I said, well, I have some thoughts in between that. And so a lot of times I'm very strategic with the shows. So please check out the Practical Wealth Show. And, if you want to learn how to create wealth outside of Wall Street. But what I wanted to do is, I work with clients every day. So let's talk about, I wanted to get a little more tactical on some day-to-day stuff just based upon some client meetings I had. I guess I should move these up so you can see my eyes. And so let's talk about a few easy hacks right now because I think that people are running scared and for a man-made crisis. But this is an opportunity to, it is kind of a warning shot across the bow. So one is stop, and this is like a principle. So you have to start with overriding principles. So some people view me on Facebook as controversial, but I have a couple of overriding principles, which are bedrocks that I run my life on. One is I don't look for other people, especially governments, to solve my problems. And two, I believe the majority is usually wrong. So, let's just start with that. So I was reading an article talking about 529 plans, and you're getting this advice from financial institutions, or advisors, stay the course. And but that's not what they do. See, I'm gonna do another post on the four rules of financial institutions, and it would surprise you that with their objectives and how they design their products aren't really designed to help you create wealth. But let's talk about some tactical stuff. So, really, one of the things, this is, you got time, so you need to get organized with your money. So, you need to look through your cash flow, your bank statements, and, uh, you know, I saw somebody with like two different gym memberships. Well, when's the last time you've been to the gym? See, so some of that stuff you've got to purge. You can't go to Hand and Stone. Maybe you can put them on this is not gonna make them happy, but like I won't say cancel it, but maybe you can lower your membership down to a basic to keep it open, and when you can go back, you can bring it back up. So you need to conserve cash, right? You need to build cash, and so you've got to have a principle. So people say, well, I want to invest, the XYZ stock is such and such. But if I question them, I said, well, what do your cash reserves look like? Well, I don't have any. Well, then you can't invest. I mean, you need to, because investing, so, people say, well, I want to invest. I'll always start out with, well, let me give you Curtis's definition of an investment. An investment is something you put, this is Warren Buffett's mentor. It's a book called The Intelligent Investor, Benjamin Graham. The investment is something you put your money into where your principal is safe and you have a reasonable opportunity to make a profit. Anything other than that is speculation or gambling. Okay, so if you want to gamble, that's fine. Just understand that's what you're doing. All right, and and if you don't have 90 days, 6 months, 12 months of liquidity, I don't even care. I mean, it could be a bank account. I don't care if it's a checking account. It doesn't matter what it's making. The matter is you need to have liquidity, use, and control of your capital because, opportunities will find you if you have money and you know how to, read numbers basically. And so what can you do? So if I'm working, I'm not, if I don't have, and I was showing a client this. I said, well, what's the higher best use of your money? Is it funding this qualified plan, and you don't have $2,000 in savings, or maybe I don't care if they match you or not. You can't get to the money, so maybe you can always start it back up, but maybe you stop that and use that same cash flow to build up your savings. uh, I'm not saying do this, but what I'm saying, I'm raising questions. So you have to think, it's your money, right? And stop abdicating your responsibility. So, all right, there's a rule with the CARE Act that you can access Before, you could only access via loans with a qualified plan $50,000 or 50% of the balance, whichever is less. And so now you have the ability to access your up to $100,000, which is huge, and with no penalty. And you got 3 years to pay that loan back. So a bird in the hand is, in my philosophy, is worth two in the bush. So I'd rather have peace of mind that I can't, that I have access to money, that I have liquidity to keep our family afloat. And then also, when we come out of this, it's not going to like snap right back to normal. It's like, oh, they just expanded the Pennsylvania rules to what June 8th. So don't get me started that I'm not sure I recognize the right of somebody to tell me I can't open my business up. And so I think a friend of mine has started like a Facebook page for opening up Montgomery County business because, you know, this is real. I mean, your bills ain't stopped. You still got to eat. You still have to make money. So I feel, I'm a third generation entrepreneur. So I view the world from a business owner standpoint. We've always, I tell our kids when they say, well, I want to get a job. I said, look, my wife and I are like, time out. We employ others. You see anybody in this house with a job? So that's just a philosophy. So like I'm a big fan of Rich Dad Poor Dad, as you know, if you've been around me. And the whole title of the book is Rich Dad Poor Dad: What Wealthy People Teach Their Kids that the poor and middle class don't. So what are we teaching? What are they modeling? Okay, and so I would build my liquidity. I would look for fees that I could cut. If you're still getting a job, according to the IRS, 8 out of every 10 people have their W-4 filled out incorrectly. So how do you know that? If you get a refund, that means your W-4, which is what you fill out when you work, is filled out wrong, because when you're getting a refund, you're just getting your money back, which means you overpaid your taxes. Well, with no interest, you gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan. With that, if you could free, I've just on this strategy, we've helped clients free up anywhere from $300 to $800 a month. And because first thing I want you to do is save 15% of your income. That's the first principle. Well, if you can't do that, you've got to figure out where you're losing money unknowingly and unnecessarily. So right now, it's find the money, it's save money, cash, and then you need to create more ways to make money. If you got a job and they furloughed you or you were considered non-essential, that's a wake-up call saying that, okay, you've only got, if I was working and I only had one client, and if that client fired me, I would be out of business. Or I had one big client. That's why, people say, "Oh, I'm gonna get these government contracts." Okay, that is not a panacea. All right, and so if you have a job, that's like, all right, I've got one customer, because you're selling your labor, and if that customer's not happy with you or they fire you and you get fired for one or two reasons, any reason, no reason at all, you're SOL, right? And so, how can you make yourself less fragile? And, so when people say, well, what should I invest in? Well, there's no investment product that is going to take you to glory. So there's no stock, there's no insurance product, there's no mutual fund that's going to take you to glory. You have to invest in you. Your number one asset is you, and you've got to invest on purpose on your mindset, what you think about, who you hang around, what you read, what you listen to. So that's starting with reading 12 to 15 pages a day of stuff. You got to work on your skill set. What can you do? Your income is a direct proportion to the value that you bring to the marketplace. So if you don't bring any value, you're not going to make any money. And Congress can't legislate success by raising minimum wage. Okay, minimum wage actually causes higher unemployment. So I'll do another whole video on that. That's just that's like gravity. That's an economic principle. That's not even an opinion. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It just is. Okay, and if you don't understand that, you don't understand basic economics, because that's economics 101. If you make something more expensive, the demand decreases. Okay, and labor's a cost. And then you have to work on your mindset, your skill set, and your network. Who do you know? Who do you know that you can solve problems for? And who do you know that can help you? Okay. And so if you hang around, we used to say, if you hang around nine broke people, you're going to be the 10th. So you've got to get your network and get around people that are, um, you know, that are renegades, that are have a philosophy, that are moving in the direction that you want to go to. I remember when I was in high school, I decided I wanted to play college basketball. So I knew the grades I had to have, the SAT scores I had to have, and I only hung out with people that were on a track to play collegiate athletics, and so I didn't hang out. I didn't do stuff. I associated with people that were better than me, that I had to, we would go play ball together, and I had to play, uh, thank you, Tony Chenault. I had to play my best, or they would make fun of me. So, so I was always on the edge of Curtis's level of play. And so that's what you have to do. So, anyway, guys, have a great Mother's Day. Just wanted to throw to my 2 cents out there and look for a few more things during the course of the week.